Record. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Journey Within. I am your host, Andrea Escobar, your spiritual guide and intuitive. Each week, we have the immense pleasure of chatting with different healers, storytellers, and vision holders as they walk us through their own journey within and how they were able to transform their dark night of the soul into a passion. Today, I am so pumped. We have the incredible pleasure of chatting with someone who has inspired me in my own self-discovery journey. She's the incredible Human Design Analyst, Michele. She is a certified life coach, angelic Reiki practitioner, intuitive channel, energy worker, and all-around magical soul. I am so excited to chat with you and pick your brain more on what brought you into the human design kind of path and all of that. So before we jump in and you kind of give everyone the 411 on human design, bring us back to your upbringing and your childhood and how that shaped and influenced who you are right now.
Yes, thank you. And also thank you for inviting me to talk with you. This is really exciting. I'm so honored to be here. I know we touched on this before a little bit, like our Hispanic background. So my parents were born in Cuba. I am first generation American. I was raised very traditional. Women basically are subservient to the men. You have to, well, at least in my family, there was no such thing as entrepreneurship. You had to get an education and then get to kind of like whatever job that you can that will give you a steady paycheck. And you continue along with that until the end of life. There was like no real, it was like just make sure you're safe financially. Just that's all. Like passion was not really anything that I was raised to pursue. Energy work was like, that was like non-existent. So there was a lot of suppressed, voice going on growing up, not only in myself, but with my family. And so that whole experience of my childhood and like kind of seeing how that developed in, I guess, early adulthood until I was about 28, that's when I really started reflecting back. But it has been a journey.
To say the least, right?
Right, yeah.
So it's so interesting. I feel like a lot of the people listening are going to be able to relate to what you just said. I know that on such a deep level I can, and I feel like a lot of Hispanic, especially, I don't want to just go Hispanic, but anyone that's immigrated from a different country, there's this immense amount of pressure. You need to get a job and do good because we brought you here. Like, it's not always said, but it's the underlying message. How did that play out? Because I feel like, I don't know, do you have any, that was like a big thing for me, that guilt, that like, oh my God, I'm not doing what they want me to do. And they did all of this so that I have all these options, especially your family coming from Cuba, like they're leaving there was a lot going on there, they're trying to get you the best life possible. How did you deal with all of that?
Yeah, so really good question. It was really challenging, to be honest. So my dad was an engineer. He, like, now me doing what I do now, like he does not even, I don't think it even registers in his mind. But so he's very traditional. My mom was a teacher. She was very traditional. Both of my grandma, she was a seamstress. My grandpa was an accountant. Actually, both of my grandpas were accountants. So it was all like kind of like very traditionally set out. And I was raised to go to college and then again get a job. I have an older sister. She went to college. She got her master's in business. She's been at the same job ever since she graduated. She went the traditional route. I was kind of like urged to do the same. I fought back for a while. I was a pastry chef. I was a professional pastry chef. I worked at, I mean, incredible restaurants. One got 2 Michelin stars in Los Angeles.
Wow.
Um, yeah, I was there working 16 hours a day. No, like, again, totally shut off from my voice, from listening to my body, listening to my energy. And then I kind of just thought that how things were. It was how I was raised. It was how what I saw in my lens of all the different types of careers and jobs and how you make money. And I was so miserable. I broke out in shingles from stress. I was so disconnected from my passion, like from me, and I didn't know what to do with it. I was so lost. And so I was like, you know what, I'll just go. I'll get my master's degree. I'll like do what my family wants me to do. And so I applied. I got into the school that I wanted. I even got partial scholarship.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but then I had this really like, I believe they call it like samadhi, like really reflective moment of like, okay, Michele, like, why do you really want to go and get your master's degree? And it was totally in line, just like what my parents wanted me to do. I was like, I really don't want to be in $100,000 worth of debt. I don't want to wait 5 years in order to pursue my career. All these different things. And so I was like, I'm just not going to do it. And at that time is when I learned human design. And that is really what changed things. So I pulled the plug on my master's program. My parents went crazy. My dad went crazy. He did not, and he was very upset. And that was really challenging, like moving through that and just like staying strong. And I was questioning myself, doubting myself, but I was like, no, I have to do this. So
That is so crazy that you literally were like, it happened all at the same time. I can't even imagine your parents right now because I'm kind of putting my family and I'm just like, oh God. But I think I've been literally pushing away everything they've been trying to put on me since I was born, that they were just kind of like, we really didn't think you were going to do anything regardless. But I can't. If my parents were together, I think that would have played out very different. My mom is way more free spirited. My dad is way more, it's ironic because he's an Aquarius, but he's very much more like, you need to do this because then you're going to get this. And he's very much of, what are people going to say? And what are people going to think that you didn't go to college and you didn't go to get a job? And it's like, maybe you should deal with your own insecurities of you not going to college and you not like, it's all of that. But I can't imagine having that conversation with them. And at the same time, I'm sure you didn't have all this clarity of like, oh, this is what I'm going to go do now. How did you manage that transition? Because I think last year, not trying to make last year less, to diminish it or say that it wasn't a lot for a lot of people, but the way that I have viewed it, and when I talk to more and more people, 2020 for me was like a collective dark night of the soul. Like it was like everyone go in. It wasn't just if you want to. It's like you're gonna force everyone to go in. So I feel like that experience for you could definitely help people out. How did you manage that? Because Hispanic parents are very special at making you feel bad.
oh my gosh, yes. Next level, like skilled at that. So it was Yeah, it was really hard. At that time, I had already known that I wanted to go into human design, because when I first started knowing about human design, I went straight down the rabbit hole. I was like, oh my gosh, I finally like connected with an essence of me that has been hidden for so long. And like kind of like once I opened that door a little bit, it was like the light was just like, okay, I got to keep going. I got to keep figuring this out. So at that time, I already enrolled in a training program. And I told my dad, I was just excited. I was like, so yeah, I just full on dove off a cliff. And I was like, so I decided I'm going to start my own business. And I don't know exactly what I said, but it was basically along the lines of that. Like, going to and get my master's degree right now it's not for me right now. And I'm going to start my own business. And he was like, start your own business. Like, if you would just listen to me, I wouldn't have to see you fail so much. And like, just saying so many negative things. And it was really difficult. My mom didn't understand. My sister, who was 2.5 years older than me, did not understand. My friends, I mean, I think that they were like supportive, but they didn't really think that I would actually do it. Yes, I felt really, really lost, and so terrified. The good thing, like one of my biggest strengths is determination. So that was like kind of like that fuel. Like, even though I was so lost and scared and I was like crying every day, at that time I also had a coach. And I was telling her like, I, no one is supporting me in this. Like, I feel so alone. And she was basically like, why do you care if they like support you, or why do you need that? Like, why do you care if they understand what you're doing or not? And I had to work through that, because that was triggering as all hell for me. Like, why do I need them to understand what I do? And then that was like a huge layer for me to uncover. And I kind of like through that process of like, it was really painful. I felt really alone and really like lost, but like this little spark of determination keep moving me forward. um, I really had to get clear on how much of my power I'd been giving away to other people for so long. And like, for me, not doing this, not like moving forward in what I actually want, and again, giving my power away to someone else, like, that's just not in my calendar. Like, that's not on my agenda right now. Like, that's like not going to happen. And that's how I move forward.
Wow. That I can't imagine that, but I can definitely see the gift that your coach kind of pointed out, even though it was heavy and painful. But once you can kind of realize, I don't need anyone to understand, I need to understand, it's almost this weight lifted off of you, because then you almost feel safe now speaking up and saying whatever, because it's not for anyone else other than yourself. And I think that's something that we're all trying to discover and get comfortable in.
Yeah. And it's not easy. Cause like, again, like, even going on collectively, like what's going on right now, in one way, shape, or form, we're being triggered. And like, so just from that energy, not even taking into account what we're personally going through, like, it's calling on all of us to be more like patient, have more grace, and be more reflective in order to really move through things.
Definitely. I so hear you on that. It's funny. I'm seeing my inner child, this like sassy side that I have never like recognized. And I'm like, who are you? And talking to my mom about it, she was telling me, she's like, oh my God, when you were 5, this was you. After your dad and I got divorced, it got buried. And honestly, I just thought, it was just like a phase or something. And I'm picking it up when someone will say something about what's kind of going on, and I'll just kind of be very sassy and snarky about it. And I don't mean to put it under the rug. That's not my intention. It's more that I'm realizing I was so in it. And I think a lot of us can be very in it. And then once you kind of take a step back, you're like, wait, no, I don't align with everything that's being said. And there can be this kind of disconnect with, at least for me, because I want to have these conversations with people and no one in my vicinity, they're like, what are you talking about? No, that's not how it goes. I'm like, but really, are you really looking at it? And I just have to recognize that I am being invited to see things on a different level, and not everyone's going to be in that space. How did you do that with your own family? Because, and I can speak on this, my mom, she is intuitive, but completely does not want to own it, which I'm like, you got to just do your own thing. My brother, though, if I say anything, he's just like, oh my God, here you start again with your weird shit. Like, he's just very not about it. And I can see where parts of me, I feel very open when I'm talking about the spirits and connecting to the other side and how I channel and all of this if I'm in a group where it's resonating. But when and I will say, when I'm with my family, oh man, do I start kind of going, do I really want to bring this up? Do I really want to put myself in this situation where everyone's going to start asking, how did you deal with that? Because you said it at the beginning. No one was at all into this. And it's not like you're like, I'm going to start a cookie company, which would have been to them a little bit more digestible. You were patient. Like, no, I'm going to go and do human design. What's human design? It's human design.
Yeah. So interesting. My parents still do not accept what I'm doing. Still, they do not.
No way.
Mm-hmm. And my sister, she, I think that she's trying. I think
Okay.
that me starting this, like, because it's completely different from anything in my family had been talked about ever. I think that she was a little triggered, to be honest, when I first told her. And I think that she's like starting to open up. Actually, it's funny because last week, I was on the phone with my dad, and he was telling me how he told my aunt, and my aunt, she was a lawyer. She was like, she's incredibly smart. And how he was talking to my aunt about what I'm doing. And my aunt was like, oh, tell her that I'm proud of her and that what she's doing is really good. And when my dad told me that, I was like, oh my God, that is the first like positive thing that anyone in my family has taught me or told me. So I guess to answer your question, how do I navigate that? Like, I really had to just get really like clear and set and like what my boundaries are and how I'm going to allow like other people to kind of push those boundaries. Because in the past, when I would talk about this stuff with my family or my parents, they would, I don't know, it would not go well. Like, they would not be positive. It would be really awkward. They would kind of like dismiss me. And so now I kind of like have boundaries up of like, okay, so if I'm going to talk about my work, like I want it to be respected, like I'm establishing like I'm financially stable with this. This is my job, this is my career, this is my business. And I kind of just bring it up in that sense. But anything else that we talk about, like spirituality or stuff like that, I'm still working at how to have a conversation like that with them, because I don't know yet how to do that. So I don't open the door.
Wow, that is so powerful. Instead of forcing it, you're just kind of like, I'm going to close it until I am ready.
Yeah. And like, I don't know when that'll be. But until then, it's like they know what I do, they know how I am.
And kind of where your groove is, which is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
How was setting boundaries with them? I know that a lot of people don't have boundaries. I'm going to go out and say that Hispanic families don't understand boundaries. It's a
Mm-hmm.
disrespect is what they say. Do you not respect your elders? You're supposed to do what we say. So it's very generational kind of, and I feel like it wasn't mirrored for me when I was younger and I was growing up in South Florida. All of my friends that were from the US and they were white, not Hispanic or of any other descent, I would listen to the way they would speak to their parents and I'm like, oh my God, if I ever, like, I remember, you know how when you're little and your mom's calling you and you're in your room with your friends, I couldn't yell what. It was go downstairs. Yes, mom. It was never what. I remember once I yelled what, and she kept yelling my name. And when I finally got down, she's like, I can't hear you. Grabbed my ear. She's like, what did you just say? Never again did it happen. So
Mm-hmm.
I I say this because it's very, I feel like it's very culturally different. And I was introduced to boundaries by American friends. And I remember thinking, you guys are rude. Full on. My mom was like, that's kind of rude because culturally it was so unknown to me. So I'm not sure if you at all resonate with that. How was that experience for you when you started implementing boundaries? Their kind of backlash, because I'm sure there was a little bit of it, and just handling that with grace.
Oh my gosh. Yes, I totally agree with what you said. Like, oh, that's rude. It's because we're kind of trained to be like anything that, like, you standing up for like what you want, or like you standing up for what you feel, or you standing up for like your ideals or whatever. If it inconveniences someone else, that's rude.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I totally agree with that. Boundaries, I didn't even really know what they were. I thought that it was like either polarized, like you don't have boundaries, and then the only way to implement them is by being really angry. And like, so that's what I was modeled my with my mom. It was it was one or the other. There was either zero boundaries or really angry. And so that's kind of like how I was for a while. And actually, it wasn't until, and it's funny, it wasn't until like kind of like when I really unplugged from like the master's program, when I really just like stepped into like, all right, no, I'm not playing around anymore. It wasn't until then that I realized the lack of boundaries that I actually had. And again, that was not easy to implement, especially because feeling emotionally responsible for my mom for so long, that even now to this day, I have to remind her and be like, okay, mom, um, like, I love you, but I can't go down that right now. So really like kind of like stepping into what I wanted to do and stepping into my voice made me realize how powerful that is, and like how for so long I was not like that. And when I'm not in my power and when I don't have those boundaries, people aren't seeing the real me. People are seeing like whatever version of myself I decided to show them at that point. So I kind of got tired of that shit. And was like, no, I just want to be me. And like, I want people to see the real me and experience and feel the real me. And so that's why I implemented boundaries, but it was not easy. It took a long time, and it took a long time for me to get comfortable. And my parents are still learning. There's this really good book called Energetic Boundaries by Cindy Dale that I read, and I really love that. That helped a lot.
I'll include that in the resources so people can check it out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I like that. I haven't, I'm still working on boundaries. I would love to say that I'm like, oh, yes, totally got it. No, I'm still working on it. And I know for me, it's more of having boundaries with myself because I've started to learn when I am not applying with them with myself, I'm not going to apply them with anyone else. And the biggest thing is time for me. And I wanted to actually pivot to that with you because we have a lot of Hispanics are late everywhere. And that kind of, there's that stereotype. And I didn't realize until probably, this was like something that I started to pick up last year, that I would arrive late because my mom was always so late to pick me up, that I was always the last person there. And it was so embarrassing and shameful that I literally cringe having to wait for someone. So it's like I make myself late and I didn't even realize I was doing it intentionally until I started to look at it and I'm like, why do I have this struggle with time? And when I started to look at it and really dive deeper, I got this voice. I was like, well, you don't like waiting for people, so you rather make people wait for you. And I was like, oh. So I see where that kind of shows up for me. Did you have anything kind of like that with you? Like you had to let go of kind of stereotypes that you carried on with you?
So I didn't have the time issue. Everything was pretty timely where I grew up. I would say that the main thing that I have had to really, and I'm still working on it 100%. I have like anger about this. Is in a partnership, like the woman in the partnership is like basically there to take care of the man and there to, follow his lead and do what he says and like all this stuff. For the first 27 years of my life, any relationship that I had been in, I was in that framework. And I thought that's what it had to be. Like my mom makes dinner. She still makes dinner for my dad every night. And that has been really difficult for me to like look back on and then like actually feel safe in, okay, no, that's not what I want to do. That's not how I'm going to be. So for that like stereotype has been like the most difficult for me.
I feel like that's such a heavy one and it plays such a heavy role, especially when you have a voice and a strong voice and you grow up. I mean, I feel like in general, women grow up being hushed. But I do think that in our culture, it's very, you are here to serve the man. You are here to keep the house clean and organized. You're here to take care of the children. And that was the biggest thing that I, from like a little girl, I was like, I'm not doing that. And I repeated it so much, but it was more because I had mirrored everyone around me cheated on their wife. So my biggest fear was to be a weak woman that got stepped on, that got cheated on. And that was like, I'm not going to do that. So I went to the other extreme of I'm going to overcompensate my masculine side so I don't have to be feminine and be considered weak. So I can relate to what you're saying on so many levels. And I feel like so many women can, which is heavy, heavy, heavy stuff. I feel like that wound there is ever growing.
Yeah, for sure. It's deep.
Oh yeah. It's not something that we're just going to do in 3 months. That people are like, oh, yeah, I fixed myself. And I'm like, you fixed generations in 3 months? Damn, tell me what did you do?
I know, right? It's like continuous work on all levels.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So kind of pivoting into your specialty in human design, I'm going to let you take it away. I will be the first to say I go down every rabbit hole that I'm like, oh, this is intriguing. And then me being a Gemini and an MG, I'm like, I'm bored. Next.
Oh my God.
Into human design. I literally got to it. And when it was cool, because at the beginning I was just going around everyone. I was like, let me see what you are. And that kind of fed the curiosity. But then after a while, I was like, okay, I'm kind of bored. What's next? And I can hear like the universe like, do you ever, are you ever satisfied? You're always bored. It's like, yes, give me more.
That's so funny. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, human design. So again, for me, the reason why I got into it and the reason why I like have such a passion for it is because it changed my life 100%. Before human design, I didn't even know that people like have a different way of exchanging energy. I thought that everyone was the same. I thought that everyone exchanged energy in the same way. I was in a kitchen at that time, again, a pastry chef, working 16 hours a day with the same people every day, chugging down cups of coffee, energy drinks, whatever. And if we were to complain that we're tired, we would basically get shamed. So I was like, okay, well, if all these other guys are doing it, I can do it too. And I didn't even know that there were different energy systems. Like I didn't know that. So looking into that, it was like, oh my God, I'm a projector, not meant to work 16 hours a day.
God, no. Oh God, no.
Yeah. So just that one level, that one thing for me opened my eyes to like how conditioned I have been. And so looking into that, that's when I went a little deeper. And then I looked into my energy centers, and one of my energy centers that's open, like undefined, is my throat. Yes, I am so learning the lesson of speaking and communication and expressing myself while feeling heard, while like maintaining confidence and conviction, and like all these things of like the challenges of communication. And so that also, once I learned that, it kind of gave me direction as to, okay, what other lessons am I learning and what strengths do I have? And then things kind of like continue to move forward. I really, honestly, I'm going to say arrogant, but it came pretty easily to me, human design. And I was able to, like, right away after training, I got really like a lot of readings right away. And then I started using my intuitive ability. Like my intuitive abilities like really woke up with human design. I didn't know at all before that I was a channel. I mean, I know I had an inner knowing. I didn't know what the hell to do with it. Um, so I was like channeling people's like medical issues, especially with their throat, because I had been going through the same thing. Yeah, I was like, do you have thyroid issues? I'll be able to pick it up. At first, I would like feel it in my throat, and they would say something like, "Yeah, I've been working on that." And then I would kind of like lean in a little more and be like, "Okay, like I feel it on like the right side of my body, so it has to do with like masculine, like maybe your father like was kind of like pushing you down from like speaking your truth, like all these different things." And they'd be like, "Yes," and I'd be like, "Holy shit, I can't believe I'm doing this." And so human design really like helped me not only learn how to work with other people, but then how to work with myself. And so the way that I do human design, it is a bit different because, again, I channel people's energies through their chart. And for a while, people like didn't really want that, or at least in my perspective, they didn't want that. I think that was also having to do with me having fear of sharing my gifts. And so I like shut down for a while. I stopped doing readings for a bit. People were reaching out to me more. And there were all these like very traditional people with human design, like the IDHS, International Human Design School, who were like, you know, you're not doing it the right way. That's not real human design, you know, using your channeling abilities and whatever. And I was like, oh, fuck. And then again, like all this fear and stuff came in. My open throat was like, like freaking out. And then I was like, you know, I looked at my chart and I saw this channel of, it's channel 18 to 58. If anyone here has channel 18 to 58, you have the ability to like see the system and the patterns of something and to change it and to make it better. So when I looked at that, I was like, okay, no, this is what I'm literally wired to be doing this. So this is what I'm going to do. So then I started giving readings with the intuitive abilities, channeling, and it really just went from there.
That is insane. No, okay, so now this is a selfish question. How did you deal with the imposter syndrome? Because it had to come up, especially if everyone's telling you, like, no, you're not supposed to do it this way. I have that come up so much because I don't believe in quote unquote mental illnesses. The way that I view it and the more that I read, I keep getting, I'm like, no, this isn't what you're saying, because epigenetics totally devaluates what you're saying on one aspect. Like I continue to have things like the universe is like, girl, go. We're telling you this is real. But then I'll have someone that literally be like, but you didn't study psychiatry. And then I'm like, yep, okay. Oh, shut up. I don't know what I'm talking about. So like, I'm curious how you handled that, because I know that, especially being in this realm, I know that people are so, if you're not doing it my way, you're not doing it the right way. And it's like,
oh my God, yeah.
We can't all do it one way. No one else would ever enter this realm. Like we would have just stayed with astrology if, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, how?
Oh my God. Yes.
Especially as a projector, I'm like, how?
Yes. So imposter syndrome was way heavy at the beginning, especially when I felt unsupported and like I was like in a cloud of fear. And so actually around that time is when I got Reiki practitioner like certification, and I started paying more attention to my energy field. And I realized how powerful we are when we consent to what we allow in our field and for what we put out. So with that, I remember when I was first starting out, I would go on Facebook and I would offer free mini readings in like a group. And I would be like, if you want a free mini reading, like leave your full birth date, I'll pull up your chart, I'll give you a reading. And there was this one group, I got mad haters. People were like, she's gonna scam me with her birth information. This is like a scam, like, oh, and it was a new group for me. And I was just getting like attacked. And I remember everything shifted with how I reacted to that, because I was like, I do not consent to this shit. Okay. Like I am in no way like scamming anybody. Like I have a pure heart in this. And I was like, this is such a joke. And I blocked it, I deleted it. And it was just like that energy, I do not consent. So when anyone, and that happened after that, where people are like, you're not doing it the right way. Like that's like the fake way of human design or whatever. And I'll be like, listen, if that's what you believe, like I respect that, but like I do not consent. That is not going to be in my energy field. That is like just going to siphon my energy if I allow it in. So it's kind of like those energetic boundaries, like what do I allow in? Does that make sense?
No, it does.
Mm-hmm.
I like that though, because it's so true. And as you were saying this, I started to think it's more of their own insecurities that they're mirroring off to you than anything else. But it's so much easier to look at that when you're listening to someone else and when you're actually even, and you're like, they're just mirroring their own, you know? So I'm glad I brought this up.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's so interesting. Because, man, I can't imagine that. Literally, you're doing something and you have, like, I don't know if anyone else is going to get this, but like, as someone that also perceives energy really good, you have such calming energy. And I felt it this first time that we talked. I was just like, can I just have her voice around me? She's just like so grounding. Wait, what is your sign? I'm curious now. Are you like
Sagittarius.
wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
So no. The reason I'm saying like wait, what is because I have a lot of shadow over my Sagittarius moon.
Mm.
And now that I'm like, wait, look, she's super calm and centered. You don't have to be this feisty person. Like you can be calm and centered. Oh man, that's so interesting. All right, so to kind of wrap it up, because I know that we threw in like projector and people are going to be like, what are we talking about? You want to just talk a little bit about each design type, and then give a little bit, because I do want people to go to you and like seek you out. I am the first to say I have no idea anything about human design. The only thing I can say is I'm an MMG. Like that's the only thing I can go and I can splat out. But because of that same intuitive channeling, sometimes I'm talking to someone and they're like, I just need to keep doing them. And I'm like, no, you're a projector. Why are you trying to force things? They're like, do you know human design? I'm like, no, I just know you're a projector. That's all I know. Don't know anything else.
Yeah.
So yeah, do you want to kind of talk a little bit about that and then share more just to see how people can go to you? Because I think you're awesome.
Aw, thank you. Yes, so so in human design, there are so many layers to it. And kind of like the overall umbrella is your energy type. And your energy type is how you exchange energy with other people. So there are 5 different energy types. And also it's important to know that as humans, like we are more energetic beings than we are physical beings. So knowing how to work with your energy is so helpful for creating flow in your life. Just like it did for me and it did for a lot of other people I know. So yeah, so there's 5 energy types. And usually when I explain this to clients, I'll say, okay, imagine in front of you there's like a jungle scene, and there's like a lake, there's lions, giraffes, rhinoceros. Um, so the lions, the giraffes, the rhinoceros, those are the manifestors, the generators, the manifesting generators. They're kind of the more like active jungle folk. Up on the trees, like those are the birds, those are the projectors. They're kind of like watching down, they're observing, they're meant to guide the jungle tribe. And then the lake, though, that's the reflectors. They're here to really like reflect the health or lack thereof of the situation, the circumstance, like wherever environment that they're in. So manifestors, that energy, they are a fire starter. They're like creatives, the visionaries. They're meant to really start things up. Out of all the energy types, like these are the inventors, the innovators, like Elon Musk. The man who actually downloaded and channeled human design is a manifestor. He started and like created new shit. They're like 8% of the population. Then there's generators. So generators are 70%, and they are like the cornerstones of society. They are meant to give love. They are sacral beings. They have more energy inherently than other energy beings. And they really like give love to others, and they are so supported in following their passions in terms of their career. They're so supported in that, because when they are in alignment with their passion and their career, they are magnets to manifestations. And then that's how they give that love to the collective. Manifesting generators, as you know, so manifesting generators are kind of a combination. They're a little mix. They're really meant to have their hands in different cookie jars, like sample different energies. That's for a reason, because they're meant to kind of like take that baton and like sample that different energy and then pass it on to someone else and like go in a different direction. They're meant to kind of like pick up this different knowledge, share it with other people, and then keep going, course correct, a new direction. That's like how they contribute to the collective. This is all about how they contribute. So the manifestors, the inventors, the creatives, the generators, they are kind of like givers of love. Manifesting generators, they are the course correctors, like the testers, the samplers. Like they will learn this bit of knowledge and then pass it on to other people and inspire them. The projectors, they are the guides. They are like really good at working one-on-one, because they can really see into the other person really clearly and just have this like clear knowing of how that other person can move forward in a better way for them. Usually projectors are like guides, teachers, healers, but all signs can be healers. I've had a lot of, by the way, with generators, a lot of nurses that are generators.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Interesting.
That's so interesting. Well, I mean, no, it makes sense though, because I feel like nurses do it all. So that
Yeah,
generated
and they need a
energy.
lot of that energy.
I'm
And then
constantly, side note, I'm constantly surrounded by projectors and reflectors. And I'm always like, why are you doing this to me? Like, I feel like I have to slow down to be around them.
you know what? It's probably due to your fractal, because they reflect something like for you to learn. Like I attract a lot of manifesting generators and projectors. Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. I've always been so like, I know a lot of people say they're like, I want to be an MG. I'm like, I want to be a reflector and a projector. And people are like, why? I'm like, they just seem so cool.
It's probably like a resonant, like a soul resonance, and part of your like incarnation, like lessons, has to do with you integrating parts of that into yourself. So that's probably why. I've noticed that too. Okay, and then the reflectors, they're really, so these are like the sensitive souls. They really need the boundaries in this lifetime, 100%. And whatever is going on in their environment, they will pick up and reflect back. That's why it's really important for them to have, again, boundaries, supportive people in their life who like honor and respect their energy. And then also allowing time to like step back and reflect on what is true to you, because chances are, if you're a reflector, you're picking up a lot of shit that's not yours. And then reflecting back, okay, is that actually mine or not? If it's not, get it out of there. So right now I'm actually teaching human design.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah, so I have a 3-month course that starts January 26th. I am so excited because I'm teaching how to actually read human design while using your intuitive gifts in your design, like how you're wired in. It's kind of like how I started using it, but no one really supported me in that. So I'm going to be supporting people into going into that way.
That's
so
incredible.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I'm just like completely honored with everyone who's enrolled so far. I'm just like, wow, I cannot wait to see what you do with human design. It's going to be amazing. I also have for offering, like I do a blueprint, like PDF. It's 30 pages where I type everything out about your design. I create a booklet for you on like what it means for you, how you can practically use human design in your life and like all the layers. And then it includes a channeled message at the end. And then I also do one-on-one sessions with people. And so those are 90 minutes and we go through your chart, and then it's also a channeling session. So I'll channel how you're in alignment with your design and action plans for you to get more into alignment. Part of how I do the channeling is I'll pick up on like patterns that have been holding them back, and then how to move forward with that. So, and my website is www.theinneralchemy.org.
Thank you. That is so exciting. Congratulations on the course. That's
Thank you.
so,
Yes.
so exciting. I know that a lot of people are going to gain so much knowledge from you. And guys, if human design at all piqued your interest, which it should, because we're in a state where we're all looking for direction and clarity, definitely reach out to Michele. She's such a magical soul. I'm not saying this, something I have something in my, I'm not saying this, I'm not getting paid or anything. Genuinely, I am so inspired. Like, I'm friends with her on Facebook, so that this is what you guys get. And I'm always like literally everything you post, I'm like, wow, so much insight. Like, it's just every single time. And I think that's why I thought that your family was like totally involved, because you're so open about it on Facebook. She's like literally posting everything. And I'm like, yeah, everyone needs to know. And then we start talking and you start realizing that social media gives you this little glimpse, and people genuinely have to go through a lot of shit before they get to where they want. And I'm putting this out more because I know that last year was really heavy and there was a lot of stuff coming up. I'm not dismissing it, but it happened. There's nothing we can do. What you can do is now decide, how do you want to move forward? And I continue to bring on people like Michele, where they're sharing their experience and how difficult. And she very much mentioned how painful it was to go inward. It wasn't a walk in the park. I'm sure that continuing to live the life that you were living, quote unquote, would have been easier than going inside. But it offered you so much more freedom when you got to know the real you, right?
Absolutely. It might have been like easier, but I think it would have been more painful in the long run to stay in the old. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely. Well, I will post your social media links, your Facebook group and everything in the descriptions below so that people can reach out to you. You are taking clients in currently, right?
I am.
Perfect. So you guys can reach out to her and she can share more. And if I'm not mistaken, you will be joining us in Colorado end of February, right?
Beginning of February.
Oh, beginning.
February. It's funny because I'm moving in February 11th.
Oh my gosh, literally 2 days before I moved. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to Colorado, a month in advance.
I know.
Once you get here, definitely we'll connect.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful for you, for chatting, for sharing your story, for being so vulnerable. I know that it takes a piece of you every time you share your story. So I really, really want to thank you for that.
Yeah, it was such an honor. I loved being here and connecting with you, and thank you for holding such a beautiful space. So yeah, you're so welcome. I loved it.
Well, if you guys want to follow up, definitely hit her up. Have a magical Tuesday, everyone. And I will see you next week with a new episode.